Hello, everyone. This is Michael Govier from the Cinema 9 podcast, and you are listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 331, The Town Movie Review. I'm Chris McBrien, along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations. Now, this week, Derek had me watch a movie that was released outside of my generation, outside of my comfort zone, as I like to say. It's the 2010 Ben Affleck film, The Town. And we're going to get to the movie review soon enough. But first, Derek, what pop culture have you been able to take in lately, my friend?
Hey, Chris. Well, after many lean weeks in the summer, man, do I got a lot to talk about today. I'll try and be quick.
Okay.
All right. We're going to start with TV. So we are coming up to the beginning of September, the beginning of the school year, and traditionally this is when network TV starts to show new shows or new seasons of your favorite shows. Well, this is also the time of year when syndication likes to start up new things, or rather old things, from the beginning. And on Monday, so we are recording this on a Wednesday. On Monday coming up next week, if you are in the Greater Toronto area and have access to CHCH Channel 11 from Hamilton, Ontario, they show a lot of old shows during the day. And on Monday, this is going to be the lineup starting at noon with the very first episode. The $6 Million Man.
What?
The Bionic Woman.
Really?
The A-Team and Knight Rider. That's 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. They're all going to be starting from the very beginning. So,
and sorry, this is on Tuesday?
This is on Monday.
On Monday.
Monday.
Labor Day.
Yep.
12 o'clock,
programming
$6
starts
million
Monday.
Man. Okay.
All the shows are all starting from season 1, episode 1.
Oh my God.
12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, $6 Million Man, Bionic Woman, The A-Team, and Knight Rider. I just happened to be flicking through looking at something that was coming up next week. And my wife was seeing it. She goes, "Oh my God, are those the very first episodes?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "You going to record them?" I'm like, I'm setting the timer right now. She goes, "Well, Monday's a holiday. You're not going to be working that day." And I said, "Well, I think I know what I'm going to be doing Monday afternoon. I'll be watching all these shows." So anyway,
gosh, that's
great.
if
you're like us and you like those old shows and you haven't seen them or you haven't seen them in a long time, they're starting up again next week. So
somebody
set your time.
was just asking me at work the other day about the $6 Million Man. And he was saying, you can't stream that anywhere. I'm like, hold on. I got this app that my buddy Derek told me about. It's called Just Watch. And I called up the Just Watch app. Remember you told me about that one?
Yep.
And I looked up $6 Million Man. It's not streaming anywhere. And boy, is he ever going to be happy to hear about this.
Yeah. We better get him before Monday or he'll be ticked off he missed the pilot episode.
Sure.
But
I
don't remember ever seeing the pilots for some of those shows.
Me neither. Yeah.
So that's first. That's something that hasn't happened yet, but I felt I had to do a public service announcement.
Yes.
So, all right. So what did I actually watch? Had a chance to watch a relatively new movie on Disney Plus just this weekend. It came out earlier this year. Stars Rami Malek. The movie is called The Amateur, and the premise is that he works for the CIA. He's like a computer nerd who analyzes data. And in the first 5 minutes of the movie, his wife is on a business trip and she gets kidnapped and then killed. And so, of course, he is distraught. He has no idea what to do and he's beside himself. And then he uses his skills as a CIA analyst to figure out who it is who actually did it. And when he brings it to the bosses, they're like, "Yeah, we already know that. And we've got those people under surveillance. We're going to get around to it when we get around to it." And he's like, No, I actually know that all of you people are dirty and I have stuff on all of you. And if you don't train me so that I can go and take revenge on these people, I'm going to blow the whistle on all of you. And it sounds like a ridiculous premise, but it was actually pretty good. And I learned after that it's a remake of a movie from I think 1980 or 1981 called The Amateur, and they just updated it. So Rami Malek, not necessarily my favorite performer, but it was good casting for this kind of a role. And supporting cast in this movie is really good too. There's a lot of people that you're going to go, "Oh my God, I totally know who that is." So anyway, it's on Disney Plus. It came out earlier this year. if you've got that streamer, it's not going to cost you anything. Give it a try. It's only 2 hours.
It's free.
Then I spent a bunch of time on Netflix. Netflix always does a good job of recommending things it thinks I might like, and man, it got it right this week. So it suggested a British series called Departure. Apparently there's 3 seasons. It's just new to Netflix, but there's been 3 seasons done already. The main star is a performer named Archie Punjabi. She was, if you ever watched the show The Good Wife, she was the private investigator. And so she's the main star of this. And the premise is that she works for it takes place in London. She's part of the British police force that investigates plane crashes. Well, they're not police, but they're like the governing body. They're basically like the TSA in the United States kind of thing.
Right.
And so in the first episode, you see this plane mysteriously disappears, likely it has crashed, and then her team has to investigate. So it's 6 45-minute episodes in the first season. It was really good. Again, it had a couple of big names, like Christopher Plummer plays like the head of the agency, but he's very hands off, so he's only in it a little bit. But like his name was obviously used to help, sell the show when it first came out. It was good. It was really good. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of like that sort of what's happening. There was some political intrigue happening behind the scenes. Was there money motivated? Was there foul play? Was it the pilot just trying to commit suicide? So it was really interesting. I really liked it. Apparently there's 3 seasons, so seasons 2 and 3 are available as well. I'll probably start watching those this week. And then I had a chance to watch 2 different documentaries on Netflix.
Oh, nice.
For 40 days and 40 nights, he watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentary.
So what did you get a chance to listen to or to watch there?
All right. So I had a chance to watch a documentary series. It was a 3-part series about the TV reality show, The Biggest Loser. It's called Fit for TV, the reality of The Biggest Loser. Now, I never watched The Biggest Loser when it was actually on. It wasn't a reality show that appealed to me. Honestly, I don't watch a lot of reality TV. In watching this documentary and talking to other people about it, apparently this show was like huge, no pun intended. But everyone I talked to was like, oh my God, yeah, I used to watch that show all the time. I was like, wow, I didn't realize it was such a popular thing. But no, it was really good documentary. It talked about all of the sort of shenanigans going on behind the scenes. And they interviewed a lot of previous contestants and some of the previous winners. And so many of them have put the weight back on just because so many of them were motivated to win $200,000 that they literally did anything and everything, including not eating, to get their weight down so much. And then, of course, you can't do that forever. And they won the money. And then, like, within a year, they're back up to, they put the 200 pounds back on. But
Plus, they had a lot of money to spend on food.
Well, among other things, yes. Yeah. So, no, it was really good. And it was a very quick watch. Again, I think the episodes were like 45, 55 minutes, like under an hour. I watched them all in one sitting. It did not feel like it was 2.5 hours. It was quite good. I really enjoyed it. It was really well done. The documentary was put together really well. And again, having never, ever watched the show, I didn't know any of the people. I didn't know any of the history. They talked about some of the drama that went on through the series, talked about some of the things that were sort of made to look like drama through editing and other things that were genuine drama. So yeah, it was interesting. I really enjoyed it. And then lastly, probably the thing I watched this week that I liked the most was another documentary, and it was called Devo, about the musical band Devo, the song Whip It?
Yeah.
So as luck would have it, I'm actually going to see Devo. They're on tour right now. I'm going to see them in about a month, and it's Devo and the B-52s. And let me tell you,
didn't they also do the theme for Dr. Detroit?
I have no idea.
At the beginning,
I
thought they did. I thought
I don't know. Never seen Dr. Detroit.
Oh my God. Well, we're gonna have to watch it here for the podcast one of these days. But anyway,
for sure.
How was the documentary?
So I didn't really know anything about Devo, and I'm like, I know some of their songs, maybe not my favorite band, but this documentary was fascinating. Learning and understanding who the band members are and how they got together as a band and what they were trying to do and what they were trying to say artistically. And I didn't realize how influential they were on other artists of the time in the late 60s, the 70s, and early 80s. Oh, yeah. Like they talk about like David Bowie and John Lennon and Mick Jagger and even Andy Warhol, obviously not a musician, but like all of these people that were like the biggest people in music and art at the time. Like they all loved Devo. They all liked what they had to say. They all wanted to be a part of their movement, if you will. They've got the de-evolution was a big part of their mythos and their practice. And
the Battle of the Bands,
fascinating.
The Battle of the Bands in Revenge of the Nerds is basically a spoof of Devo.
Yeah, no, and they showed that. That was in the documentary. They talked about like all their influences on, like, not all, but many of their influences on pop culture. And they were saying, like, even after they sort of fizzled as a band, all of the members went on to do like other things. Like a lot of them do like soundtracks and musical scores. And they were saying the one guy in the band, I was reading this online. So apparently they use one of the Devo songs as the theme song for an MTV show called Ridiculousness, which has been airing for like a decade or more. And they said the guy makes $1 million a year in royalties because of the MTV use of the song, over and above all the other money he's making from all the other stuff. So they're doing pretty good financially, all things being said. Yeah, no, it was fascinating. And I've been telling people to watch this, and everyone's like, I don't really like them. And they're like, yeah, you know, they had that one hit. I'm like, trust me, you're going to hear some of their music and go, oh, I didn't realize they also sang that. But it's more just about learning about the band and their politics and what they were trying to do and what they were trying to say as artists. And it's like, it's going to give you a whole new respect for this band.
And sorry, what's the title of that again? I want to write this.
It's just called Devo.
Devo, okay. And it's on Netflix?
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
I think it's an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 20.
Cool.
Like it's not long, so that you can, I had to do it in 2 sittings literally because it was so late at night. I was falling asleep. I didn't want to miss anything, but I would watch the rest of it the next day.
Nice.
So yeah, lots of stuff on my watch list this week.
I have something pop culture related I want to share. So recently I was able to come down and visit you, Derek. And, you know, we get together every so often. Busy lives and all that stuff. We try, right? But anyway, so recently we had the chance to get together and hang out. And this summer you went to like a convention out of town somewhere, and you stopped by a local collectible shop in the city that you were in. And I remember you were texting me and you're like, hey, they got all this stuff here. And they had a bargain bin of Star Wars action figures. And so we're like texting back and forth. And then you ended up picking me up 9 Star Wars action figures for my collection. So when we met up, I was able to collect those from you. But it wasn't just the Star Wars figures. Oh no. So Derek, you were able to get me what I now consider to be the crown jewel, if you will, of my pop culture collection. Yes, it's an original 1976 Fonzie Mego doll. Hell, you even got the guy to throw in the stand for me. Yep. It was so good.
Yep.
And
it was complete. He had the leather jacket and everything. It wasn't
condition.
Just like
And the jeans are like in good shape. The leather jacket. And one of my favorite things, it's something I totally forgot about. He's got both thumbs sticking up, and there's this like lever that sticks out of his back. And when you move the lever, both arms go up with the thumbs. So It's so cool. And let me tell you, those Mego dolls, if you're not familiar with them, back in the 70s, they were something else. They looked so much like the people they were supposed to be. I mean, like, it really looks like Fonzie, the face. And I remember when I was a kid, I had a bunch of other Mego dolls. I had Star Trek, like from the original series.
Yeah.
And they all look just like the actors.
They look really good,
They were so good. So,
yeah, Chris, I know you don't really, but the cartoon Robot Chicken, almost all the time when they do spoofs with like these figures, they always use the Mego. I always thought it was Mego, but Mego, whatever. But that's the ones they use. Whenever they do Star Trek, whenever they do Justice League, whenever they do Happy Days, because those Mego figures look so good. Like the sculpts look just like the actual actors. They use those all the time. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I got no idea what Chris is talking about. If you've watched Robot Chicken and you've seen those, that's what he's talking about.
Yep. So I've got all these action figures now downstairs on display in my basement. It's kind of like my man cave. More of a kid cave, though, I guess, really, because it's a Gen X kid. Anyway, that's me. But so thank you, Derek, for helping me to add the crown jewel.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. And I think we should give a shout out. So the place where I got these was in Columbus, Ohio, and it was a toy store called Big Fun. So if you are a super nerd and you find yourself in the Columbus, Ohio area, do yourself a favor and stop by. They had so much stuff. I think I went in there 3 times. Well, I think we were away for 5 days. I think I went in there 3 times. I had to really, really, really keep a hand on my wallet to not just buy everything I saw. They had so much stuff there. Yeah.
Yeah, they were awesome. They definitely deserve the shout out. Okay, so I also have this.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
Okay, so Derek, this one's like a little bit more of a story. Okay, so just buckle in. Okay. Okay. So there's a black gentleman, a Jewish gentleman, a Mexican gentleman, and a bigot sitting on a park bench together. This has got censor beep written all over it, by the way.
I was just about to say, like, have you ever listened to the show? It's a family show. Look, you can't tell this joke.
The black gentleman reaches down and accidentally rubs against a magic lamp, and poof, out pops a genie. And the genie says, I've been trapped in this lamp for 1,000 years. I can't thank you enough for releasing me. I'm going to grant each one of you a wish. And the black gentleman says, I want all my people to be able to go back to our homeland in Africa where we can all live together in peace and harmony. Poof, genie grants a wish. So Jewish gentleman says, my wish is to have all my people from around the globe to return to our homeland in Israel where we can all live together. Poof, genie grants a wish. Mexican gentleman says, my only wish is for all my people to return together to Mexico, to live together once again. Poof, wish is granted. Genie turns to the bigot and he says, what's your wish? And the bigot says, so, all the blacks are in Africa, all the Jews are in Israel, and all the Mexicans are in Mexico? Genie says, yeah, that's right. Bigot says, give me a Diet Coke.
Wow.
Wow, indeed.
I was sure the punchline was going to be something about becoming president of the United States. I was sure where that was.
No, I didn't go there.
Happy Gilmore, part 2.
Is Mickey Rooney in Breakfast at Tiffany's.
It was not great.
The whitest guy in the history of the world.
Maybe not.
It can't be as bad as all that, can it?
And I'm talking about Judd Nelson.
We're going back with Kevin Bacon. We're going to watch Footloose.
What?
Okay, so Derek, it was your turn to pick a movie to review. So you went with The Town, 2010. Ben Affleck directed and starred in. So kick us off. Why this movie?
Well, I wanted to find something from the 2010s. I was actually looking for something even a little more recent, but this one sort of jumped out at me because I hadn't actually seen it in a while. You know me, I love a good heist movie. Anything where they're like robbing banks movies, or con artists and heist, like I love that kind of stuff. And this movie, I was listening to a podcast like maybe a month ago, and this came up in conversation. They were having a dialogue about something, and it sort of tweaked in the back of my mind, like, oh, I should probably watch that again because it had been a long time since I had a chance to watch this movie. And then last week we did Footloose, which obviously a very different kind of movie. You know, very upbeat, very positive, very PG. I wanted something that was a little more gritty, a little more action oriented, a little more, you know, a little more violence, a little more action, like that kind of thing. So this sort of checked that box. So I thought, okay, let's give it another watch. I honestly completely forgot that Ben Affleck directed it. I knew that he was one of the stars, and he's even got a writing credit on it. So it was written, directed, and starring Ben Affleck. I do remember enjoying it. I do remember that it was like, it's always in the conversation when people are like, what are your top favorite heist movies? This one always seems to make the list for most people. And I think that's what it was on the podcast I was listening to. This came up on someone's top 5 list, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to have to revisit that. And so again, it wasn't new. Obviously I'd seen it before, but it had been so long. I really didn't remember a lot of this movie. Like probably the last third of the movie was like watching it for the first time. I had no memory of how it ended. None. And when I mentioned to somebody, oh yeah, I watched this for the podcast, they're like, oh, I love this part at the end, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I'm glad I didn't talk to you last week because you would have ruined that. You would have ruined it for me. But like, I forgot John Hamm was in it as the FBI guy.
Right.
Yeah. And no, so it was a good chance to go back and rewatch it. I think I mentioned recently I watched a movie called Den of Thieves, and then the sequel to Den of Thieves just came out last year. And so that's another kind of movie like this where it's these, you know, ex-military guys that do bank robberies and stuff. So you know, again, it was sort of like, it's kind of scratching that itch for me. So yeah. And you had mentioned you had never seen it. Mm-hmm. I figured you had not, since it was after 1989. But I was curious to sort of get your take on it. My wife asked me that. She's like, what do you think Chris's take's going to be? And I was like, well, I gave her my thoughts, but I don't want to steal any thunder. Because again, you and I don't talk about this before the show. So this is going to be live on air. So Chris, tell me what you thought. So, had you seen it before, and what were your thoughts?
You're right. I had never seen it before. In fact, I never even heard of it until you mentioned it at the end of last show. So I watched it this week. I watched it with my wife. She actually joined me to watch the film, and I actually thought it was good. I thought it was, but I will say it wasn't great, but I thought it was good. I actually really enjoyed the first half. I felt the second half, especially like maybe the third act, got a little bit bogged down and kind of predictable. We'll get into that in a bit. Yeah. But and the other thing for me, it's like I've said this before. like most newer movies, and of course, as you mentioned, for me, anything after 1989 is a newer movie. So for me, like with these newer movies, the rewatchability factor just isn't there. Like I'll be honest, I have no desire to ever see this movie again. If I'm flipping around the channels one night and I see it's on, or if I see it on the streamers or something like that, there's probably zero chance that I'd ever watch it again. But like I say, I think that holds pretty much true for every movie that I didn't grow up with. Like, I know that's a me thing.
That's fair.
But
That's
it's
fair.
just the way it is. So I always ask this question. We talk about the box office from that year, 2010. Derek, any guess as to what the top grossing movie of 2010 was?
Got to think Marvel Cinematic Universe was out by then. So I don't know. Iron Man?
Actually,
No, it wouldn't have been that.
It was Avatar. Avatar was the number one.
That makes so
film
much
that
more
year.
sense, yeah.
And it did really well. It made 466 million, and that was just being released from December 18th, like for 2 weeks. It ended up grossing, closer to 800,000. Toy Story 3 was number 2. Alice in Wonderland was 3. Iron Man 2 was 4, and the Twilight Saga Eclipse was number 5. And then rounding out the top 10 were Inception, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, Despicable Me, Shrek Forever After, and How to Train Your Dragon. There's quite a few kids movies in there too. So
yeah, a couple of franchise movies and a couple of movies that went on to spawn some sequels, right?
True.
So you get the first ones. Not that you knew that when they put out the first one, but looking at the list now, you're like, there's a lot of movies in there that became franchises. But it's nice to see Inception in there.
Yeah.
As a movie that's a standalone. So
And
don't see many of those in the top 10.
Interesting. Number 11 was The Karate Kid. Number 12 was Clash of the Titans. So 2 remakes from the 80s. But The Town finished in 32nd place, even though it made over $92 million.
I think it still did okay, all things considered.
The top 25 movies all made over $100 million. That's crazy. Wow. That's insane.
It was a different time,
I guess. So this film, The Town, was made on a budget of $37 million, and like I say, it took in $92 million in the States, $154 million worldwide. So did very well.
Made some cash.
Yeah, it's based on the 2003 novel Prince of Thieves, which Paramount...
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, Paramount apparently bought the rights to it before it was even published. And then Dick Wolf, remember from Law & Order?
Yeah.
He was originally attached to it, and then it went into turnaround at Warner Brothers, and Ben Affleck was coming off Gone Baby Gone. So they brought him in to direct and star in it. So... Nice. I want to talk about the cast. We always usually start there. And for me, I think the cast is the strongest part of this movie, hands down. I thought the cast was
I was
really
pleasantly
good.
surprised with the performances from a lot of the people in this movie.
Me too. Some of them were real standouts. Ben Affleck, we'll start with him. Obviously, he got his big break with Matt Damon when they wrote the screenplay for Good Will Hunting, and they won the Oscar. And he won Best Picture for Argo in 2012. He's been acting since he was a little kid. I always think of him like he started with Good Will Hunting, but he was actually a child actor, and he's done all kinds of different movies. If you think of it, he's done independent stuff with Kevin Smith, all the way to like Armageddon and Pearl Harbor. He was even Batman in a movie, right?
And Daredevil.
Yeah, so I think he's an interesting guy because he's like a decent enough actor and director, but he's almost like he's more known from the tabloids than he is from his movies. When he was married to Jennifer Lopez, that was massive. Like, it was huge. They had a nickname, Benifer, that they called him. And then he was known for his marriage to Jennifer Garner, and he dated Gwyneth Paltrow. So not too shabby. But his personal life always seemed to overshadow things. But so he was born in California, moved to Cambridge, which is in Boston, when he was just a little kid. So naturally, he has this thick Boston accent. And he used it here in this movie and in Good Will Hunting. And a number of years ago, he did a Super Bowl ad for Dunkin' Donuts, and he used it in that too, I remember. But he usually just drops the accent or masks it or whatever. What do you call it when someone changes their... They just speak with a different accent, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, he's a professional actor. I would think that you learn to control that.
So the thing I always do, whenever I used to travel in the States, like I won't go there anymore. That's another thing. But when I used to go to the States, people would always say I had an accent. And I'd be like, no, you have an accent. So I don't know, do we both have accents? I don't know how that works because
I don't know.
I always think I sound like the people on TV that have no accent. At least in my mind, they don't. And then some people, especially in regional areas of the States, like they have accents, in the South, like in Georgia or like New York or Boston or places like that. Like I remember I used to go to Chicago a lot, I don't think they really had much of an accent, or like people in California, I think. So there's just certain parts of the States they have accents. It's weird. Anyway, I want to talk about Jeremy Renner. So he was outstanding in this movie. Man, this dude's got some acting chops, eh?
He got nominated for an Oscar for this movie.
Oh, man. So he did a bunch of smaller parts, and then like The Hurt Locker was his big one because he got nominated for Best Actor that year. So he was nominated for Best Actor for The Hurt Locker up against Morgan Freeman in Invictus, Colin Firth in A Single Man, George Clooney up in the air, but they all lost out to Jeff Bridges from Crazy Heart that year. And then
that was more of a legacy Oscar.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, there were some good performances in there, and then when he did The Town, when Jeremy Renner did The Town in 2010, he was nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and now he didn't win either. He was up against Jeffrey Rush in The King's Speech, Mark Ruffalo in The Kids Are All Right, and John Hawkes in Winter's Bone, but they all lost to Christian Bale for The Fighter. So,
okay. Yeah.
Some good ones.
I got no objection to that one.
Yeah, no, me neither. I think it seems fair. But he was really good in this movie. So my wife is watching this movie with me, mainly because Ben Affleck's in it. I know. And by the way, I noticed how she's not lining up to watch any Woody Harrelson movies. Because apparently that guy's ugly. Does he still listen to the podcast, Derek? I don't know. We'll have to find out. Anyway, so I'm sitting there, I'm watching the movie with my wife, and she's asking about this Jeremy Renner guy. And I'm like, you know, she's really, he hasn't really done a lot lately. And I go, that's because he got run over by a snowplow. And she's like, oh, you're kidding. She thought I was joking around. But in 2023, he actually got run over by a snowcat on his property. Yeah. Probably should have killed him. But I guess the doctor said he's like in such good physical shape, he was able to survive it. But it took him like 3 months just to be able to walk with a cane. Like, it's freaking crazy. Like, who gets run over by a snowplow? So wasn't he in the MCU too? You know better than me.
Yeah, I was going to say he played Hawkeye in the Marvel universe. So I mean, he appeared in a bunch of the movies. He was in Thor. First time we saw him was in Thor, which I believe we watched for this podcast.
We did.
And then obviously he was in all the Avengers movies, and he's appeared in a bunch since then. And then he was one of the characters. They did a TV series on Disney Plus. I think it was a 6 or 8 episode series called Hawkeye, which followed his character and a couple other supporting characters. So he's certainly been cashing that Hawkeye Marvel paycheck for a while.
Oh, I bet. So John Hamm, like you mentioned, you forgot he was in this. So he
totally forgot he was in this.
So my wife was watching some show recently on Netflix or somewhere, wherever it was, with John Hamm in it, and I think he goes around like robbing his neighbors or something like that.
Yeah, it was Apple. It was. I watched the first one.
Oh, okay. So yeah, because she says to me, she's like, "Wow, John Hamm sure got a lot better looking as he got older." I don't know. I guess he's ugly in this. I guess he's like Woody Harrelson or something.
I think he looks exactly the same.
That's what I thought.
One of those guys that looks like he's been 45 since he was 20.
I thought he looks like he hasn't aged a day, you know, but hey, whatever. So I never watched Mad Men, so I'm not really familiar with him. Like, the only thing I really know him from was that Saturday Night Live commercial parody, John Hamm's John Hamm. Did you ever see that? When he's like, you know, you're in a public restroom and you're hungry, and then there's like ham coming out of the toilet dispenser. Other than that, like, I never watched any of his stuff. So were you familiar with him, like, obviously before this?
Oh, yeah. I've seen him in tons of stuff. I didn't watch Mad Men when it was on, but no, he's done a lot of things that I've seen that I've enjoyed. He was in one of the more recent seasons of Fargo, and he played like a real, like, corrupt politician. He was really good in that. Yeah, no, he's been in lots of stuff, and he plays a lot of time. He's in things as like a supporting role, and he always seems to be cast as like a law enforcement person. I find he's there, who's the guy who shows up and is like, you know, I'm here as the head of the FBI, or I'm the special investigator, someone who shows up on the scene. Like, that just seems to be the kind of role that they give him. Because again, he's tall, he's good looking. They just put him in a suit and give him some sunglasses, and you're like, here's a guy with authority. And so I find that tends to be the kind of roles you sort of see he's either cast into or gravitates towards. And no, I mean, I like him. I would certainly, anything, if he's in it, I would certainly give it a shot. I wouldn't necessarily be the first in line if it's like, we're going to see that new John Hamm movie. But when it's like, you know, hey, here's a movie with someone else you really like. By the way, John Hamm is also in it. I'm like, well, hey, okay, let's give this a shot. So.
Yeah, and he was a good supporting character here, I thought. And another one I liked was Rebecca Hall. And so she played Claire. She looks so familiar to me. And so I'm looking her up on IMDb, but the only thing that I've ever seen her in was The Prestige. But you had me watch that on this podcast. But like, I'm looking at her face and I'm like, I feel like I've seen her in a bunch of stuff. I don't know. Maybe
I was the same. I was exactly the same. Yeah. Where do I know her from? Yeah.
And I look up her IMDb. I'm like, I don't know her. I never watched any of this stuff. Maybe she just like looks familiar, reminds you of somebody. But she was one of my favorite parts of the movie, to be honest. I think it's kind of where this movie goes a bit wrong for me. Like, I feel like the last act of the movie was kind of weak. Like, it probably should have been more about him meeting her, falling for her, and realizing that he's, missed out on this rich, full life. And it kind of starts to go there. And then instead, like, the third act goes to more like crime and this massive shootout at Fenway Park and stuff like that. I would have almost liked to see more of the character thing going on as opposed to the action. That was my take on it. But I liked her.
That's fair.
She was good.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I thought she was good. I mean, I watch a heist movie to see the heist. I mean, usually with these kind of things, the end of the movie is going to be some sort of the big, either they're going to do it and get away with it, or they're going to try it and it's going to blow up in their face. And this sort of is a combination of both. But
I want to see the heist early on, and then which we do, and then I want to see him move away from that, and kind of have like a redemption arc or something. I don't know. That's where the movie kind of threw me a bit. Blake Lively, I want to mention because in a lot of ways, to me, I feel like she's more famous for her off-screen life, because she's married to Ryan Reynolds and all that and stuff. Like, I know her more for that than her work, but I thought she was really good in this movie. And the funny thing is on the outside, initially I thought, oh my God, she's so miscast. Like, she's just way too gorgeous and glamorous looking to play this crackhead, but she pulls it off. I thought she gave a really good performance here.
Yeah, I totally forgot she was in this movie. And then when she showed up on screen, I'm like, no, that can't possibly be her. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that is her. No, and then, yeah, like you said, I thought as it went on, I'm like, yeah, no objections. She was good in the role.
Yeah, I thought she had some pretty good acting chops. Titus Welliver, I want to mention him. He was the FBI guy that worked with John Hamm. Like, I knew him from Lost. He was Mr. Black in the last season.
And he was the lead guy in the show Bosch, which I never watched, but was very popular.
I'd never seen it either, but he did a lot of stuff with Ben Affleck, because he was in Argo and Gone Baby Gone. And then, and what was that other one that Ben Affleck did? Was it Gone Girl? I'm just he starred in that.
Yeah,
so Gone Baby Gone and then Gone Girl. Those are two different things. Gone Girl is one where he shows his wiener, I think, isn't it? I'm not sure.
I have no idea, but
that
wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah. Okay, so Chris Cooper, I want to mention, he's got a small part in here. But for some reason, I'm watching this and I'm saying this to my wife, and I thought he won the Oscar for Best Supporting Actor for American Beauty for some reason. I don't know why. But
no, didn't he win for Adaptation?
Adaptation, yeah. Like, he wasn't even nominated for American Beauty, which kind of surprised me. I don't know why. I always thought that he got all these accolades for that role for some reason. But anyway, and then Pete Postlethwaite, I want to mention, he was Fergie, the florist.
Mm-hmm.
He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for In the Name of the Father back in 94.
Yeah. Did he not win for that?
No, he was only nominated. But I remember him from The Lost World, Jurassic Park, because he's the guy that wants to hunt the T-Rex. That's where I always knew him from.
I don't even remember him from that. Yeah. I just remember him from In the Name of the Father.
Yeah. So here's the thing about the florist, his character, that I don't understand. He's this big-time crime boss getting these guys to do these jobs, robbing like boatloads of money. And he spends his time in this dumpy, rundown flower shop. Like, shouldn't he be in like a mansion or something? Like, sipping wine with like gold-plated toilets and like pools of wonton soup and all that? Isn't that how gangsters are supposed to roll?
But these aren't your gangsters like you see on TV. These guys are like close, tight-knit community. They want to remain a part of the community. They want to stay where they feel comfortable and safe. Like, that's why I think his business still stays where and he's trying to fly under the radar, right? He doesn't want to get arrested and go to prison. You buy a big giant house worth millions of dollars, there's questions.
What's the point of getting all the money then? What do you want all the money for? Just you can sit on it, put it in your mattress?
Got power, prestige, reputation. I'm sure there's nothing in his life he wants that he doesn't have.
I guess, because you're right, because even Ben Affleck, if you think he knocked over I knocked over 6 banks and 2 trucks, and he lives in a apartment. Like, I just didn't understand it. I don't know. I just thought that was weird. But yeah, I guess you make sense. But so the movie takes place in Charlestown, which is a suburb of Boston, and there's this brick tower. It kind of looks like the Washington Monument. I kept thinking that as I'm watching it, but I guess that the premise of the movie is supposed to be based in reality, in the sense that this part of town has all this crime going on. But the thing that got me was in the opening scene, right with the titles, they put up all these title cards about crime in Charlestown.
Yeah.
And they just seem a little anecdotal. Like, it's like all these anonymous sources. It's like, I see crime everywhere I go here. Boston man. And it's like, there's so much crime in Charleston. It's awful. Local guy. It just, I don't know. It just seemed to me very anecdotal. And like, wouldn't it be more effective to start the movie with like some stats? Like by the age of 18, 75% of all locals are involved in crime. Or, there's more criminals per capita here as opposed to any city on earth. Or I don't know. It just seemed like a little forced right out of the gate. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't feel that way, but I can see why you go there. Sure.
I don't know. So anyway, so they knock off the bank right at the beginning. And I love how he empties the candy dish to collect all the cell phones of everyone. And he's like, hand over your Blackberries. Hand over your Blackberry. And I'm like, what the hell? And it's like, it's 2010. Everyone had Blackberries.
Yeah.
Although I did notice a few of those little flip phones getting thrown in there too. But I thought it just kind of caught me off guard. Very rarely do I watch anything after 1989 and go, hey man, that's a little bit dated.
Yeah, exactly.
But that jumped out to me. So, and then another thing about Ben Affleck that I just remembered, he's in this room doing like these pull-ups on a gym bar. Dude is friggin' ripped. Was that him for sure? Was that a body double?
Oh yeah, no, I'm sure that's him. I mean, he was in Daredevil, and he was still years ahead of Batman, but I think he was always trying to be like in good shape because he wanted to be in these action adventure parts.
I thought maybe he got ripped just for this part or something, because I always sort of think of him as being kind of doughy, I don't know. Like, I should talk, but I mean, like, I always think of him as being a little bit pudgy. I don't know. Not like this. I mean, he was ripped, man. And then at the beginning, I noticed too, he's walking through this storage room and there's these shelves and there's like 2 cereal boxes on the shelf. And the names are Tasty-O's and Crispy Rice. Like, just both make-believe cereals. And I'm thinking, like, Ben Affleck obviously wasn't very interested in any product placement, because like it just jumped out to me. I don't know why, but okay. So I mentioned I like the idea of him falling for the girl. Like I said, I think the story they should have drove the story a different way. But what I was struggling with, and maybe you can help answer this: why the hell did he ever go into the laundromat in the first place? Like, I know he wanted to keep tabs on her, I guess, but like, why would you get that close? Like, why risk everything? It seemed dumb. It seemed like a dumb thing to do, and he wasn't a dumb guy, at least when it comes to criming. So, like, what was that all about?
He was thinking with his he wanted to, he was attracted to the woman.
I guess, but I mean, that was like, I don't know, that seemed awfully weird to me. So.
Well, and I mean, I don't necessarily think his intention was to interact with her directly unless an opportunity presented itself. And when it did, I think he was like, well, this woman seems attractive and she's obviously vulnerable, and he wanted to spend some time with her. He wanted to get to know her.
I don't know.
Again, I agree. I think it was probably more an emotional reaction rather than something that was planned. Which is obviously why he didn't tell any of the other guys about it, right? He didn't want them to know because he knew they were going to be like, this is a bad idea.
So one thing I was wondering about was, I'm watching the movie and I'm trying to figure out why the guy was stealing all that hair from the barbershop. And then they spread it in the vehicle, like for DNA and stuff. I thought
misdirection
that was pretty
on the
clever.
DNA.
Yeah, that was pretty cool. So Ben Affleck doesn't want to do the next job, right? Because he's got a bad feeling. He did some scouting and he found out like one of the guards is like this young gung-ho nut job or something. So of course everything goes wrong. And there's this machine gun fire and there's a chase through the alleyways of Boston. And then what I think might be the best scene in the whole movie, they're in the car with the nun masks on and they're holding machine guns, and they stop the car and they all get out holding the machine guns, and it's at a construction site, and they always have a cop sitting at a construction site. Always. I don't know why. They do that here in Canada too.
Yeah. In case there's traffic or anything. Yeah.
I guess. So the cop is sitting there in his car and he just turns and looks at them, and there's this long pause. And he just turns the other way. He makes this choice, because he looks to be like maybe about 30 years into the force doing construction duty, and he confronts these guys. He's dead. So he just looks the other way. I laughed. I thought that was pretty funny.
You see that as an internet meme all the time.
Yeah.
So
that was good. When Ben Affleck takes Claire out for lunch and Jem shows up, I thought it was interesting how Ben Affleck covers the tattoo on the back of his neck with his hand when they go to get up. But I got to give credit where it's due, because my wife picked up on that. I didn't notice it. And
really?
Wow. Yeah, it's not that I'm not paying attention when I watch our movies, but a lot of times I'm taking notes. So sometimes I miss things, especially when it's your movies, because I've never seen them before, so I got to write down notes. But she picked up on that, so I just want to give her a shout out. But so the scene in the garden I want to mention, because he's pleading with her, because she knows who he is at this point. He's the bad guy.
Oh yeah.
And I'm thinking it seemed weird to me. We're supposed to have sympathy for this guy, I guess, but for me it just didn't work. I don't know if it was Affleck or his acting skills or whatever, but I'm he's a bad guy. He needs to just go away. She is totally the victim here, and they're trying to twist it around where he's really the I don't know. That scene I thought was not very realistic. I don't know.
Sorry, did you feel it was not realistic that he would chase her, continue to try and talk to her, or do you think it was not realistic that she would give him the time of day?
That she would give him the time of day, or that the audience was expected to give him the time of day? Two. I felt like you're trying to make the audience sympathize with this guy, but it's not. He's a bad guy. He needs to just go away. Leave her alone. I just kept thinking, just get away from her. Go away. I don't know. So by the way, they really did shoot at Fenway Park. You could totally tell.
Totally forgot. That's what I said. I mentioned to somebody, I'm like, oh, we're watching the town. They're like, oh, I love at the end when they do the Fenway heist. And I'm like, I had no memory of that. None. And then when they show up, I'm like, oh my God, they do the baseball game. I totally forgot. That was a nice surprise.
It was a nice surprise. I thought it was interesting. They're actually at Fenway. You can tell they're going down in the tunnels and stuff, and you can see the field. But this is where the movie goes wrong for me. So here's why. The FBI are onto these guys, right? They call Ben Affleck in for questioning, because John Hamm even says to him, basically, you're going to get the electric chair and I'm going to put you there, sort of thing.
Right.
So you'd think maybe, just maybe, that if these gangsters are so bad and the FBI wants them so bad, maybe, the FBI would be watching these guys so closely that they couldn't just walk into Fenway Park and rob the goddamn thing. With guns, with machine guns. Well, give me a friggin' break.
So
the FBI would know what they had for lunch. The FBI would know the temperature of their in the chair if they wanted to. It just seems so unrealistic. I don't know.
Now, but you're assuming that the FBI had the resources and the authorization to do that. They had no reason to believe that anything was going to happen the next day. They for all they know, they could have been watching them for 6 months to a year. I don't think they had enough evidence that these guys had done the things that they felt they had done to warrant that kind of authorization. And that's the whole thing with the good guys, right? Bad guys can do whatever they want. Good guys got to play by the rules. Mm-hmm. And the bad guys, knowing that, can manipulate those facts. And I think that's sort of where we're supposed to go with this. This crew is so good that while the FBI is confident that they're the right guys, if they could pin this stuff on them, they would have arrested them. The fact that they bring them in and let them go and they can't do anything about them is, it's just letting the bad guys know that while the FBI is sort of, quote, onto them, they're not really onto them. So, no, I had no problem believing that.
I like when they're getting ready to rob Fenway, and Ben Affleck says the last guy to rob the Red Sox like this was Jack Clark. I had to laugh because I'm a big baseball fan, because Jack Clark signed a 3-year deal worth like $10 million back to be the DH of the Red Sox back in '91, and he was so awful. He sucked so bad they ended up releasing him. So anyway, I thought that was kind of funny as a baseball guy. The other scene that really jumped out to me was when Jeremy Renner, when he gets shot by the cops, he commits suicide by cop, as they call it. That's a thing, by the way. I discovered that. I didn't even know. So that whole scene, when he gets shot and they show his face, and it's got he's got bullet holes in his face and it's all swollen and stuff. I was almost creeped out. It looks just so realistic. A lot of times these movies, there's a lot of blood and stuff, but it's not necessarily realistic. You know what I mean? You just see a bunch of blood. But that shot of him with his head sideways and that bullet in his cheek, I don't know, something about that creeped me out. So again, if you're...
Do you credit the filmmakers for doing a good job,
Yes,
or
I
do you feel that it's... Okay.
No, I do. I think it was very good because it was incredibly impactful when I saw it. It wasn't just like hokey violence. It looked like that was a real body there. And I was like, oh my gosh. Like, it just, I don't know. It really jumped out to me. So that happens. Ben Affleck gets away and he leaves money. I think it's behind his dad's picture. I'm not sure what was that. Maybe for the kid. Is that what that was for?
I think so. Yeah.
I couldn't quite figure that out. And then he left the money in the garden for Claire, which she uses for renos on the hockey rink. She puts the ice in, and she puts the plaque up for his mom, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then for John Hamm, he leaves a note that says, "Go." And I love how John Hamm gives it to Claire's lawyer. Here, this is for you.
Yeah, this is for you. Yeah, that made me laugh too.
And then, of course, the line at the end when he says, "No matter how much you change, you still have to pay the price for what you've done," which is pretty cool, you know.
Yeah.
But I guess just going back, I guess my issue is that Ben Affleck didn't come across as all that likable to me. Like, I didn't feel like he had this huge redemption arc. He's a bad guy. He robbed banks. I mean, sure, he didn't want to like kill people or take hostages, but he's a criminal, and he's kind of a low-life criminal too. So I don't know. I guess that's where I struggled. Maybe somebody with a bit more charisma.
I guess
I don't know.
I guess the question is more, if you're watching a movie or reading a book and the main character is a criminal, if they're the character that the story is revolving around, even though you know they are capital C criminal, they've done things that are against the law, there's no question about it, do you still root for them to succeed and get away with whatever it is they're trying to do to some extent? Or is it like, I don't care how likable you are, how good you are at what you do, you're a bad guy. By the end of this story, you had better be caught, killed, put in jail, in some way punished. Like, do you feel that when you watch we'll stick to movies. If you watch a movie about a criminal, do you feel by the end, if the criminal isn't punished, that you're disappointed? Or are you able to watch a movie featuring a criminal and go, okay, this is the criminal story, let's see where this goes?
Well, that depends. I think it depends on the script, and it depends on the actor. I'll give you an example. Somebody like Danny Ocean, you know, in Ocean's 11, you know,
sure,
George Clooney, you're rooting for him. You actually like him. This guy's like oozing charisma out of every pore of his body. And in this movie, Ben Affleck is not like that. But the script is asking you to sympathize with him and to try to see his redemption arc. And I'm not buying into it. So,
okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah,
okay.
That's kind of
no. I can see that. Yeah.
So that was my take on it. So do you want to rate the movie out of 10?
I'd probably go between a 6.5 and a 7. I mean, I liked it, but I didn't like it as much as I thought I was going to. Like again, I've seen it before, but it's been a while, and I like this genre, so I'm sort of predisposed to giving it a better rating. I'll go with a 7. I think there's enough in there that I would give it a 7. To your point, I don't think I'd line up to rewatch this one again in the very near future. Say like a movie like Heat, which is definitely in the same vein as this. I would watch Heat a month after I watch. Like, it's so good. It's got so many rewatchable parts. That one I would rewatch again and again. This one, you know, if it's another 5 years before I see it again, I'm okay. So I'll give it a 7.
So you're giving it a 7, but you did start off saying about a 6.5, 7.
A 6.5,
and we're in the same ballpark.
I'm gonna lean more to the 7. Yeah,
we're in the same ballpark because I give it a 6. So there's that.
Okay, so we're sort of in the we're not that far apart.
No,
we'd be in the middle at a 6.5 and call it a day.
Exactly. Then we'll do that. Okay, so what do you say that we now have some
fun with Caveman?
All right, my man, we're going to play a game that we play often around here, and it is called Pick the Flick. Pick the Flick. Yeah, pick the flick. You get the synopsis, then pick the flick. You get the year, pick the flick. Okay, so you know how this works, Derek. I give you the year and the synopsis, and you just got to guess the movie title. Super easy. And there's a common thread, as we always do.
Okay, good.
And you're going to love it because you mentioned at the top of the show one of your favorite genres of film is heist movies. And that's what we're going to do.
Okay.
We're going to do heist movies. You're just going to knock these out of the park. I think I got like 12 of them.
I hope I've seen most of these. But
you'll probably get
let's find out.
So start with some easy ones, and we get a little bit harder as it goes on. Yeah. That's the way the game works, right? Okay, 2001, a gangster rounds up a gang of associates to stage a sophisticated and elaborate casino heist, which involves robbing 3 Las Vegas casinos simultaneously.
Geez, you'd think I wrote this movie. It's got all the things I love. This is Ocean's 11.
Yes. And actually, there's bonus points on this first question. Can you name the 3 casinos that they rob?
The Mirage, the Bellagio, and the MGM.
Very good. And you've probably been to all 3 of them.
I've been to all 3 of them.
I figured so as much. Okay, 1992. When a simple jewelry heist goes horribly wrong, the surviving criminals begin to suspect that one of them is a police informant.
Oh, it's got to be Reservoir Dogs.
It is Reservoir Dogs. Very good. All right. 1988. In London, 4 very different people team up on a jewel heist, then try to double-cross one another for the loot, complicated by their efforts to fool the very proper barrister Archibald Leach.
Yeah, no, I was like, what? And then as you kept going, I was like, no, this is A Fish Called Wanda.
It is A Fish Called Wanda. Very good. Okay, this one's a little bit of a trick question, but not really when you hear the synopsis. Yep. 1996. 2 criminals and their hostages unknowingly seek temporary refuge in a truck stop populated by vampires.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's From Dusk Till Dawn.
That's correct. Very good. Did you like that movie?
I like the first half. I did not like the vampire half, the second half.
Interesting. Maybe we should do that movie sometime. I'll have to put that one on the list at some point. Okay, 1997. A flight attendant with a criminal past gets nabbed by the ATF for smuggling. Under pressure to become an informant against the illegal arms dealer she works for, she must find a way to secure her future without getting killed.
Yeah, that was Jackie Brown.
It is Jackie Brown. Very good. Okay, 1998. A career bank robber breaks out of jail and shares a moment of mutual attraction with a U.S. Marshal he has kidnapped.
Oh, George Clooney appearing on this list a lot. That's Out of Sight.
Yeah, he's big into the heist, as is Tarantino, who has appeared in a couple times. Yeah. Okay, this one is from 1968 and from 1999.
I already know what it is. Keep going.
Do you want to just guess what it is?
Was it The Lady Killers?
It is not The Lady Killers. We're moving on to the next one. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh, I didn't even get the question.
No, I'm just kidding. So 1968/1999, a very rich and successful playboy amuses himself by stealing artwork, but may have met his match in a seductive detective.
Yeah, they're actually doing a 3rd remake of this. Wow. It's The Thomas Crown Affair.
It is The Thomas Crown. You redeemed yourself. Good for you.
Thank you.
Unlike Ben Affleck in the movie we just watched, you redeemed yourself. Very good. Okay. 2006, a police detective, a bank robber, and a high-power broker enter high-stakes negotiations after the criminal's brilliant heist spirals into a hostage situation.
Yeah. Man, we've done a lot of these on the podcast. That was the Inside Man.
It was, yeah, because you like these heist movies, so you get me to watch them.
That one's really good.
Okay, here's another one that has a split year. Okay, 1969 and 2003. Want to take a stab on this one again?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm here.
After being betrayed and left for dead in Italy, Charlie Croker and his team plan for an elaborate gold heist against their former ally.
Wow, that doesn't sound... What were the years again?
1969. It was remade in 2003.
Is it The Italian Job?
It is The Italian Job.
Oh, what a guess. Yes. I knew that was a remake, but I don't...
Nice.
I definitely have not seen the original, and there's Mark Wahlberg in that, I think.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think
not in the 1969 one, he wasn't.
No.
Okay, so 2000. Unscrupulous boxing promoters, violent bookmakers, a Russian gangster, incompetent amateur robbers, and supposedly Jewish jewelers fight to track down a priceless stolen diamond.
Yeah, another one we just did, Snatch.
Yes, we have done a lot of these on the show.
Okay, we've done a lot of these.
Yeah, we have. Well, like I say, you like your heist movies. Clearly, by you're going through these pretty good. Okay, 1973. 2 grifters team up to pull off the ultimate con.
Oh, was that? What the hell was that one called? With Paul Newman, Robert Redford. It was
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
No, The Sting.
Yeah, the Sting. They were also in that movie, so just trying to throw you off. Okay.
I could picture them on the cover of the movie, and I was like, "What was it called?"
That was the one. Have you ever seen The Sting? Robert Shaw from Jaws was
5 times. Yeah, it's great.
It's good. Okay, 1975. 3 amateur robbers plan to hold up a Brooklyn bank. A nice, simple robbery. Walk in, take the money, and run. Unfortunately, the supposedly uncomplicated heist suddenly becomes a bizarre nightmare as everything that could go wrong does.
So if it's the one I'm going to say, I've never seen it. Is it Dog Day Afternoon?
It is Dog Day Afternoon, yes.
I've never seen it. I started watching it and I just wasn't really vibing it. It was like 15 minutes in and I'm like, I don't know if this is for me, but
give it a chance.
I may have to give it another chance. Yeah.
All right. And the last one, 1981. After years in prison, ace safecracker Frank owns a car dealership and a cocktail lounge, which are fronts for high-stakes jewelry heists. He wants to complete one last big heist for the mob before he goes straight.
Wow. That does not sound familiar at all. No, I have no idea.
It was called Thief. James Caan.
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, it's James Caan.
Yeah.
Michael Mann directed. Okay.
Yes, he did. Yeah, you know
I've
it.
only ever
So,
seen
yeah.
it once. It's been a long time. Yeah. Okay. I may have to go back and watch that.
All right. So you did pretty good. You know those heist movies. I knew you would because you've mentioned that before. So I thought, I'm going to give you an easy one here. Throw you a softball. Lob one over the plate. And you did.
Yep. There we go.
So next time, I guess when we get together, we'll do a topic, maybe one of our top 5 lists. We'll decide and we'll come back and we'll do that when we get here next time. But until then, I'm Chris McBride on behalf of myself and Derek Myers and our producer. We'd like to say thank you very much for taking the time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.